taken you from the Imperial City's prison, first by carriage and now by boat. To the east, to Morrowind. Fear not, for I am watchful. You have been chosen.
Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up.
A guard approaches and guides you to the shore, where you meet Salus Gravius in the building on the other side of the courtyard. Salus, Imperial officer, grants you the release papers and also orders you to deliver a sealed package to TES3 in Balmora. During your travel to Balmora, you get to know that the Tribunal, a triumvirate of godlike beings, rule over Morrowind, and that they struggle against Dagatur and his sixth house, a cult of followers stretching out from Red Mountain, the volcanic center of Wanderfell, the island on which you have been sent. You get to Balmora, city that is controlled by one of the great houses, Hlalu, and find Caius Casades in his house. The package is delivered, and you agree to obey Spymaster Caius's orders, becoming a member of the Blades. Now you are Imperial spy with the rank of novice. Caius then advises you to join a guild or a faction and to do freelance work in order to create the cover of an adventurer, so that your actions wouldn't draw suspicion. Suspicious. Someone clearly wanted you to join Blades, and your release from prison and transportation to this island was due to the fact that you must serve some role that is yet unknown. You meet one of the Spymaster's informants, Hasfet Antabolis, who asks for an ancient artifact to be retrieved from a Dwemer ruin and delivered to him before sharing the information. You retrieve a Dwemer puzzle box from Arkenhunt, a large Dwemer ruin, and give it to Hasfet Antabolis. In return, he shares some information with you. It all began with the War of the First Council, after the Chimera race, now known as Dunmer, the leading race living in Morrowind, uncovered a plot by the Dwemer race sorcerer architect Cogranok to use the Heart of Lorcan, a powerful artifact, to construct Numidium, a giant construct and a mockery of the Chimera faith and way of life. War ensued between the two races. Nerevar, leader of the Chimera, and Dumag Dwarf King, leader of the Dwemer, faced off in a battle, and were both seriously injured. Dumag Dwarf King is assumed to have died at the location, and Architect Cogranok disappeared along with the rest of the Dwemer when he used his tools on the Heart. House Dagot at that time was one of the 6 Chimera Great Houses of Resdain, now known as Morrowind. The members of the house were known as brave warriors and powerful enchanters, and Warren Dagot, the leader of the house, allied himself with the young Nerevar, offering his wisdom, strength, and friendship to the future ruler. Over time, he became Nerevar's senior and most trusted advisor. House Dagot's fall occurred at the Battle of Red Mountain. Extremely loyal to his friend Nerevar, Warren Dagot, now known as Dagatur, fought beside Nerevar within the Dwemer fortress. At the time, Warren suggested that the tools be destroyed to prevent damage to the Chimera, their race, now known as Dunmer. Nerevar, wounded and forlorn due to the war, rejected the notion and left to confer with his friends Vivek, Almalexia, and Sotasil, ordering Warren to protect the tools until his return. Nerevar, together with Vivek, Almalexia, and Sotasil, agreed to keep and study the tools in Heart of Lorcan, but Nerevar's wish was that they should not use the tools for themselves. Nevertheless, they returned to the Dwemer Citadel where Dagatur was left on guard. They found him corrupted and unwilling to give up the tools to Nerevar and the Tribunal. Dagatur escaped from the ensuing fight but was forced to give up the tools. After the death of Nerevar, shortly after the battle at Red Mountain, Sotasil acquired an understanding of how the tools of Kogranok and the Heart of the Loken worked, and thus how to use them to turn the tribunal into living gods. Thus Vivek, Almalexia, and Sotasil went through the process of stealing Heart's divine essence for themselves. After Sotasil angered the Daedric Prince Azura by saying that they didn't need the Daedra anymore, as the tribunal were the new gods of the Chimer people, Azura appeared before them and cursed tribunal for their sacrilege, together with all the Chimer race, turning them into the Dunmer. Upon gathering the essential information, you seek out another Spymaster's informant, Shangra Musgab, in Mage's Guild, who confirms that she has information about the Nerevarine. However, first she wishes to obtain the skull of level Andrano that can be found in the Andrano ancestral tomb. She warns that ghosts found within the ruins are immune to normal weapons, and offers an enchanted short sword called Fireblade. After you confront ghosts in the tomb, you are given information about cult of Nerevarine. This Ashlander's religious cult follows prophecies of a Nerevar reborn to honor ancient promises to the tribes, to re-establish the traditions of the prophet Valeth, who once led Chimer to Resdain to cast down the false gods of the Tribunal Temple and to drive all Outlanders from Morrowind. Both Tribunal Temple and Empire outlaw the cult of Nerevarine, but it persists among the Ashlanders, who believe that Nerevar will return to restore the glories of ancient Resdain, as Morrowind was called before the Imperial occupation. The Ashlanders say the Great Houses and the Temple honor Saint Nerevar as the greatest Dunmer general, first counselor and companion of Vivek, Almalexia, and Sotasil, who united the Dunmer houses to destroy the evil Dwemer, the treacherous House Dagot, and their western allies at Red Mountain. When you return to Spymaster Chaos, he explains that 3 people in Vivek City have information on the 6th house, the Nerevarine prophecy, and the Nerevarine cult. These people are Haliva, a Moraktong assassin, Athiranir, a Thieves Guild operative, and Maramilo, a temple priestess. He then warns you to be cautious and discreet. After you help 3 of them in their shady businesses, deal with people who are hunting them, you receive an important information. Ashlanders believe that the tribunal gods are false gods, and in the real Nerevar will reincarnate as the Nerevarine, who will cast down the tribunal and defeat the terrible Dagatur. The dissident priests believe in the prophecy too. They were persecuted for it and had to go into hiding. Maramilo, temple priest and one of Spymaster's informants, suggests acquiring the book Progress of Truth, which recounts the Nerevarine prophecy. The book is, however, outlawed by the tribunal. She indicates that it can be found in the Hall of Justice secret library, or it can be purchased at a merchant, who will sell it despite the ban. Once you acquire the book Progress of Truth, you get to know that Nerevarine prophecy is being denounced as heresy by the tribunal, and those groups that believe in them, like Ashlanders, dissident priests, and some others, are heavily persecuted. Occasionally, a potential Nerevarine candidate appear, and each one had met an untimely end through a variety of means and circumstances. According to the prophecy, a prisoner born on a certain day to uncertain parents would be sent under guard to Morrowind, would overcome numerous trials, and eventually unite the province and cast down the tribunal as false gods. The gender and race of Nerevarine was, and remains, unknown, though it is well known that he or she would not be a native of Morrowind. This was the most widely known part of the prophecy. The remaining parts are detailed in the work's 7 visions of 7 trials of the incarnate. What he puts his hand to, that shall be done. What is left undone, that shall be done. First trial. On a certain day to uncertain parents, incarnate moon and star reborn. Second trial. Neither blight nor age can harm him. The curse of flesh before him flies. Third trial. In caverns dark Azura's eye sees, and makes to shine the moon and star. Fourth trial. A stranger's voice unites the houses. 3 halls call him Hortator. Fifth trial. A stranger's hand unites the Valati. 4 tribes call him Nerevarine. Sixth trial. He honors blood of the tribe unmourned. He eats their sin and is reborn. Seventh trial. His mercy frees the cursed false gods, binds the broken, redeems the mad. After obtaining information about the 6th house, the Nerevarine cult, and the Nerevarine prophecy, Spymaster asks of you to go to the city of Aldrun, controlled by House Redaran, and talk with a former Ashlander, Hasur Zainsubani, who left the tribe to become a merchant. Hasur says that the Ashlanders believe that the Nerevarine will cast down the false gods of the tribunal and make Morrowind worship the ancient Daedra, Boetia, Azura, and Mephala once again. He says that the Ushilaku tribe are the most devout worshippers of the Nerevarine cult, and that they can provide the needed information about the subject. Once you met Spymaster's informers and gathered all the information they had, Spymaster Chaos gives you new orders. Go to the Ushilaku tribe and speak with their leaders about the Nerevarine prophecies. Sulmatul, Ushilaku leader, doubts your intentions. He explains that if you want the help of the Ushilaku, you have to become a clan friend. To become one, you have to go in the Ushilaku burial caverns and retrieve the bone-biter bow of Sul Sanipul from his father's wraith. It is a very big cavern with many sublocations, roaming with undead creatures. After defeating Sul Sanipul's wraith, you take the bone-biter bow of Sul Sanipul from his remains and return to Sulmatul. Sulmatul directs you to the tribe's wise woman, Nibani Mesa, who says that you are not the Nerevarine yet, but just one of the people who may become. You return to Spymaster Chaos Caceres, who says that the 6th house base has been discovered near Gnarmok, and that a group of Imperial soldiers from 4th Bakhmuth were going to raid the cavern, but the 6th house forces overwhelmed them. However, the local 6th house's commander, Daygod Gears, spared one soldier's life so he could go back to the fort and warn them about Daygod Tur's return. The soldier died sometime after the incident, killed by the corpus disease. The Spymaster sends you to the 4th Bakhmuth to speak with the fort's champion, Reza Pulia, and gather more information. You meet Reza Pulia, who explains that the 6th house base is inside a cavern named Ilunibi and suggests speaking with Gnarmok's residents about the cave. You learn that the 6th house base Ilunibi is located north of Gnarmok, in a little island accessible by foot. You get inside. There are many corpus creatures, 6th house dreamers, and some Daedra creatures. Moreover, the cave is very dark. Daygod Gears was waiting for you. He explains that Ilunibi is just a little base with lesser servants, and then expands on Daygod Tur's plans and gives you a message from the immortal High Counselor himself. Once we were friends and brothers, Lord Nerevar, in peace and in war. Yet beneath Red Mountain you struck me down as I guarded the treasure you bound me by oath to defend. But remembering our old friendship, I would forgive you and raise you high in my service. Do you come with weapons to strike me down? Or would you put away your weapon and join me in friendship? Daygod Gears says that as long as the Nerevarine is not a 6th house member, they will treat you as an enemy, and offers that you submit to Daygod Tur in his citadel in the Red Mountain region. Gears then turns hostile. Once you defeat Gears, he curses you with corpus disease, then dies. You report to Spymaster Caius Casades, and he tells you of an old and wise House Talvani wizard who currently studies the disease and maybe can help you. Spymaster gives you a Dreamer artifact in order to gain the wizard's sympathy, so as levitation potions too, for House Talwani towers require them. You reach Telfir Tower and speak with Devaith, who knows much about the divine disease and offers a potion that may cure corpus. Yet, Wizard will only give the potion if you do a task for him. He wants the Dreamer Boots of Flying from Yagrum Bagam, one of his corpus victims, whom he houses in Corpusarium. Inside Corpusarium, Yagrum Bagam is standing in a spider machine which resembles the Dreamer Centurion spiders. Yagrum Bagam is surprisingly a Dreamer, the last of his race alive, and was tainted with corpus in the Red Mountain. Yagrum gives you the Dreamer Boots of Flying, and you head back to Devaith Fear and give him the boots. Wizard gladly hands over the potion, but with one condition: you have to drink the potion in front of him. You drink the potion, yet the corpus is not cured. However, all the negative effects of the disease are lost. Devaith Fear says he never wanted to cure corpus, as the Nerevarine is meant to have corpus and immunity to other diseases. You return to Spymaster Caius, who reveals you that he is being recalled to Imperial City in Cyrodiil. Caius promotes you to Operative of the Blades, which means that you become the leader of the Blades in Wonderfell. He also gives you a final task to complete: find the lost prophecies, which, once recovered, should be taken to Nibani Mesa. You travel to the Temple Canton in Vivek City to speak with Mera Milo. However, after speaking with members of the temple, it is revealed that Mera has not been seen since she last went to her office. Yet, once you force your way into her office, it becomes clear that the only evidence that Milo has been in the room is a note with the code word Amaya. The note reveals that she has been taken to the Ministry of Truth, and that the Nerevarine may be able to rescue her, requiring 2 divine intervention scrolls and a method of levitation. The Ministry of Truth is found on the moonlet suspended above the Temple Canton in Vivek City. You levitate up to it in order to gain access to its cells. On the ledges of the Ministry you find Alvela Saram, a guard whom is in league with Milo. She gives you a key to gain entrance into the Ministry, although she also warns that you will be attacked on sight and that the inside doors each have separate keys. The prison keep is guarded by many ordinators, all of whom attack you on sight. Once you reach Milo's cell within the prison keep at the top of the Ministry, she asks you for the Divine Intervention Scroll to fulfill her plan for escape. She then agrees to meet with you at Halamayan Island once you escape. She gives advice and a password to reach the Halamayan Monastery. Milo then uses the Divine Intervention Scroll to escape, leaving you to do likewise. You escape the same way. You travel to Ebonheart to meet Blood Tahateria in the East Docks, who provides you the means to travel to Halamayan. There is a hidden monastery on the island that houses the dissident priests. The monastery, however, cannot be entered at any other time than dawn or dusk, as the rock that blocks the entrance only opens from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. or 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The books dissonant priests provide you contain precious information. Kagranok's tools are cursed, and stealing power from the heart of Loken is a terrible folly and fated to disaster. The tribunal is losing its battle to control the power of the heart of Loken, and they are sustained by the same tainted power that drives Daigatur mad. Tribunal grow weak and cannot protect people from Daigatur, but even if they could, would it be wise to worship gods such as these? They conceal the truth from people out of shame. They persecute the Nerevarine and the dissident priests out of shame when they should be welcoming and enlisting their aid against Degatur. The tribunal have done much good for Morrowind and the Dunmer, but they succumbed to the temptation of Cogranok's tools, and though these tools once may have seemed the instruments of salvation, now they must be seen as instruments of doom. Once you learn more about your mission as Nerevarine, you travel to the Urshilaku camp and speak with Nibani Mesa. She needs to consult with her ancestors in her dreams, requesting that you return after the moon has come and gone. The next day, after conversing with her ancestors, Nibani believes that you are the reincarnated Nerevarine and tasks you to fulfill the 7 trials, 2 of which you have already completed. Yet, you must prove that. She then advises you to seek the counsel of Ashkan Sulmatul. After speaking with Sulmatul, you are sent on a task to prove yourself as a warrior. To obtain 3 items from the 6th house stronghold, Kogorun, a corpus sweepings, a house they got cup, and a shadow shield. The whole area is guarded by many Dagots and ash creatures. This task fulfills the 2nd trial, which states that the Nerevarine is immune to corpus and diseases. You return to Sulmatul after obtaining all 3 items. Sulmatul is surprised by your return, although true to his word, he informs you of the 3rd trial, the 3rd vision, which corresponds to the 3rd trial that in caverns dark Azura's eyes sees and makes to shine like the moon and star. Sulmatul explains that you must travel to the cavern of the Incarnate to speak with the Daedric Prince Azura. Although he does not reveal the location of the cave, you must first solve riddle to find the location of the hidden cavern. You do this by speaking with various members of the Ashlanders in the Urshilaku camp. You solve the trial riddle of the Urshilaku by journeying to the valley entrance that is marked by 2 large pointed rocks on each side of the valley. These rocks are known as Iron's Teeth. You proceed down that valley, which winds around at the end. Cavern's entrance only opens at dawn or dusk, when Azura's star is visible in the sky. Upon entering the cavern, you pick up the moon and star from the hands of Azura's statue. This causes visions as the voice of Azura is heard.
Incarnate, your first 3 trials are finished. Now 2 new trials lie before you. Seek the Ashlander Ashkans and the Great House Councillors. 4 tribes must name you Nerevarine. 3 houses must name you Hortator. My servant, Nibani Mesa, shall be your guide. And when you are Hortator and Nerevarine, when you have stood before the false gods and freed the heart from its prison, heal my people and restore Morrowind. Do this for me, and with my blessing.
After completing many tasks, bribing lots of people, and surviving all the dangers, becoming Hortator of the 3 great houses and the Nerevarine of the 4 Ashlander tribes, you now travel to Vivek City to speak with the Arcanon. The first person you meet outside the temple canton in Vivek City is Danso Indulas, who tells you that the Arcanon can be found in his quarters within the High Fane. She warns you the Ordinators are guarding the locked door, making it difficult to reach the Arcanon's quarters. Yet, she mentions that there is a second unguarded entrance to his quarters, found in the Hall of Wisdom. You enter the quarters of Arcanon, Toler Sarioni, and he arranges a meeting with God Vivek and gives you 2 keys, one for the door to his office, the other for the Palace of Vivek door. Sarioni also explains that the Ordinators are still not entirely under his control. You have fulfilled the 4th and 5th trials of the 7 visions. Upon entering the doors at the top of the palace, you speak to Vivek. He reveals his plan to defeat Degatur after you agree to all of the oaths. Vivek also gives you Raveguard, a powerful enchanted gauntlet that is required to manipulate the heart of Loken, which will in turn help defeat Deigatur. Vivek gives you his blessing as well, and the promise that he will end the temple's hostility towards the dissident priests and the Nerevarine. Once you prepare yourself for the upcoming fights, you enter the Red Mountain region where you confront Deigat Vemen, an Ash Vampire member of the 6th House. You defeat Vemen after a continuous fight and retrieve Sunder, a legendary hammer of divine mass crafted by the Dwemer tonal architect Lord Kogrenak. After that, you defeat Deigat Odros, another member of the 6th House, and retrieve Keening, one more artifact crafted by Kogrenak. Together with Keening and Raveguard, these tools are necessary to handle the heart of Loken. Now you are on your path to find Deigatur. The citadel of Deigatur is on the edge of the Red Mountain's mouth. It is large and inhabited by many hostile creatures. Deigatur is waiting for you. You fight fearsomely, and after seemingly defeating Deigatur, he disappears. A previously blocked door opens, revealing a very large cavern with the inanimate giant Akula Khan standing in the center. The heart of Lorcan is attached to its stomach. You strike the heart with Sunder once, then hit it with Keening until it is destroyed. The giant falls broken in 2 pieces, and Deigatur follows, falling to his death.
You no longer of prophecy. You have achieved your destiny. You are free. The doomed Duima's folly, Lord Dagoth's temptation, the tribunal's seduction, the god's heart freed, the prophecy fulfilled. All fate sealed and sins redeemed. If you have pity, mourn the lost, but let the weeping cease. The blight is gone, and the sun's golden honey gilds the land. Hail, Savior, Hortator, and Nerevarine. Your people look to you for protection. Monster and villains, great and small, still threaten the people of Vardenfell. Enemies and evils abound, yet indomitable will might rid Morrowind of all its ills. For you, our thanks and blessing, our gift and token given. Come, take this thing from the hand of God.